Hello, welcome to the edge. That's silly. I guess today what I want to talk about is what does it really mean to be human, the human condition. And I think for me, I used to give myself excuses by relating to the idea that we're all just animals in the animal kingdom. I remember the first time I told my son when he was about 4 or 5 that we're animals. And the look he gave me was this almost disgusted, like, no, we're humans and humans are special and we're above everything else. And I don't know if that's innate because he was so young when I told him that. It surprised me that you'd almost think it would be the other way around. But I guess we do live so separate from a natural life, that it can appear that we are separate from the rest of the creatures here, at least many of us. And I think one of the reasons why I've surrounded myself, or why we as a family have surrounded ourselves with all these creatures, is because they remind us that we're not that different. You can watch their social dynamics and all their individual characters and see that it's like something to be a chicken and a duck, just like it's like something to be a human being, but it's also like something to be an individual. All these creatures have their own personality and social life and things they like and dislike and are passionate about. And for the most part on our little farm, it's food. But some of them love each other and love us and have fun and are afraid. And I think it's important just to realize that at the end of the day, we're human beings, but we're still creatures of this planet. And you can believe what you want about how we got to be what we are today. There's so much unknown about our past. People have said humans are a species with amnesia, but maybe we'll never figure out where we came from, how we got here, or what we're supposed to do with all of our innate abilities. But I think the best we can do is try to live cohesively within our own environment wherever we find ourselves. One of my mentors introduced me to the concept of thinking about human environmental relationships and finding yourself in a place and getting in sync with the systems and rhythms and other beings and other forces around you, the weather, the grasses, the trees, and realizing that of course we're all connected. As they say, everything is one and we're all a part of a system and we couldn't exist without all the parts. But also we are an individual and what we do matters to more than just ourselves. And the secret to the good life, one of them has to be figuring out a way to contribute, cooperate, find your tribe, and work together with your tribe to live in your space in a way that is sustainable. So I'll read a little quote here today. I'm gonna butcher this guy's last name, but the quote goes like this: if we aren't being taught how to grow our own food, how to take care of ourselves and our families, and how to live without the need for huge governments, banks, and corporations, as our ancestors once did, then we aren't being educated. we're being indoctrinated to be dependent and subservient to the system. Gavin Nascimento. That's my best attempt at his last name. So thank you, Gavin. Education is an important thing. Cultivation is an important thing, and I've talked in my past videos about self-cultivation. But of course, as tribes, as groups of human beings, we have learned that it can be necessary, and it seems like a good idea to send our young ones away to be educated, to be trained and shaped and molded in one way or another. But I think something is lost along the way. When the bigger it becomes and the more removed from the local it becomes, the less natural it is, and the less people are being educated or shown ways of knowing and ways of being in their communities. And they're being offered less sustainable local practices and being given who knows what. I made it through the public school system, but I didn't make it out unscathed, and I had to do a lot of deprogramming along the way. I think I was blessed with a natural tendency to shake off attempts at indoctrination, and I know that others are further on the spectrum where they're more susceptible to being told who to be and how to be. And I think I'm going to read a few quotes here from the late, great George Carlin that really resonated with me yesterday. So here we go. From George Carlin in April of 1992. All you ever hear about in this country is our differences. That's all they ever talk about. Politicians and the media, always pushing the things that separate us, things that make us different. That's the way the ruling class operates in any society. They divide the rest of the people. They keep the lower and the middle classes fighting with each other so that the rich, can run off with all the money. It's a fairly simple thing, and it happens to work. Anything that's different about us, you know that that's what they're pushing at you. Racial differences, religious, ethnic, national backgrounds, jobs, income, education, social status, sexuality, anything they can do to keep us fighting with each other so that they can keep going to the bank. You know how I describe the economic and social classes in this country? The upper class keeps all the money and pays none of the taxes. The middle class pays all the taxes, does all the work. And the poor are there just to scare the middle class, keep them showing up to their jobs. Here's another quote from George. I don't like ass kissers, flag wavers, or team players. I like people who buck the system, individualists. I often warn people. Somewhere along the way, someone's going to tell you, there is no I in team. What you should tell them is maybe not, but there is an I in independence, individuality, and integrity. Avoid teams at all costs. Keep your circle small. Never join a group that has a name. If they say, we're the so-and-sos, take a walk. And if somehow you must join, if it's unavoidable, such as a union or a trade association, go ahead and join, but don't participate. It will be your death. And if they tell you you're not a team player, congratulate them on being observant. And one final quote from George here. Don't just teach your children to read. Teach them to question what they read. Teach them to question everything. Seems to me George is a little angry. And I don't blame him for being angry. I think a lot of us are angry right now. And I count my blessings. I count my blessings that I'm out here away from all these groups and ideologies. But they seep into our lives, no matter how close to the edge we come to get away from it all. It's there, it's out there. And I think the most important thing we can do as individuals is recognize the trick and recognize that we've all been fooled into focusing on that which divides us, the great divisions, and we failed to recognize our shared humanity. And right now, as the world turns and the way it's going, the most important thing we can do to stop them, the powerful, the elite, from taking everything away from us and stripping us of our human potential and our ability to live cohesively with each other and come up with creative ways to be sustainable and to be prosperous in our smaller local communities and tribes. It is to shed these divisions and look at our differences as beautiful manifestations of creation, as long as they're not hurting anybody. That takes their power away. If we just love each other for who we are and what we can contribute and what our assets are that we can bring to our own communities and how we can cooperate to build beauty and strength and purpose around us and for those that we love and live and work with. That's it. That's the secret. So they don't want you to know that. They don't want you to know that our differences don't matter the way they're trying to pretend like they do. So take that to the bank. Go in there. Just be very slow and calm. It's mamas with babies. Slow and low. There you go. Rusty nose. ASMR. ASMR. Mm-hmm.
Crunchier than normal fries.
Yeah, they are.